Hi everyone, my name is Katja, I'm Cat Coloring, and a warm welcome to my channel. Today's video is yet another translated flip-through of an Eriy coloring book. You may have seen the first two videos already on my channel. The first one, the translated flip-through of her World Heritage Traveling Through Time and Places video. This coloring book was published in 2019, and the main characters of this book is Manon, and Manon is a girl we already know from her romantic country books. She has a friend, a migratory bird called Hershey, and together they travel in this new coloring book series consisting of 4 coloring books. They travel to all sorts of places in the world, and each book is then divided into certain themes. So the first one was the World Heritage Sites of the world. The second one was a translated flip-through of her coloring book Beyond the World Fairy Tales. So in that book, Manon and Hershey travels around all the known fairy tales of the world. This third book is, as I said before, called World Legends, a Journey to a Magical Land of Fairies coloring book. But it's not just all about fairies. These are legends from all over the world, and they are, as I said, not just about fairies, but about everything you could possibly imagine. So without further ado, let's just dive right into this book and find out what kinds of legends we find in this book on the pages. So, this book was published in 2022, so only a couple of years ago. The first one was published in 2019, and the second one the year after. And then there was a couple of years with no books, and then this one, and last year the fourth one. So, the first page where we have this sort of introduction to the book. And it says, Hunting for Legends, or we could also just say Searching for Legends. The city where Manon lives is a house of many legendary places. A forest where wizards live, a hill where fairies gather, and an old castle where the goddess of the lake lives. So this must be the goddess of the lake's castle. These legends that my parents told me when I was a child are all filled with a mysterious charm. And here we again see Eriy become very personal, because these books also are based on her personal experiences, on her travels, and all of the stories that she heard growing up, both fairy tales and legends. And this book is, well, about the legends. And then it continues, what kinds of legends are there in the world? Manon wonders while she looks across the lake. I'm sure that an exciting meeting awaits you. And here we have Manon and her friend, the migratory bird Hershey. One day, Manon and her best friend Hershey, a migratory bird, decide to embark on a journey to find legends from around the world. Let's explore legends through coloring books. And that's what it says here. And then we have these 4 pages with the content. And I can tell you this much now, that we have legends about fairies and ghosts. We have legends of wizards and witches and alchemists, legends of flowers and plants, legends of stars and star constellations, legends of mystical beings or creatures, legends of God, legends of man. And then there's the final cover illustration and some text regarding the postcards and note cards she has in the back of the book. So we begin straight away with the legends of fairies and ghosts. So here on this first page it says fairy ointment, and we can see it right here. While I was traveling in England, a mysterious old lady gave me a small tin of ointment. This medicine labeled fairy ointment is said to give you a chance to see fairies when it's applied on your eyelids. So the whole journey begins with Manon being in England, meeting an old lady who gives her this fairy ointment. And when she puts some of this ointment on her eyelids, it makes her capable of seeing fairies. And this means that Manon has a real good chance of not just hearing, but witnessing these legends that she and Hershey are on the lookout for here. And then we have some other sorts of ointments here in these small tins here, or boxes. And then we have here, excuse me for the noises in the background, my dog will not sleep, he will just play. So here on page 2, it's called Summer Night's Dream. In a forest near Athens, she meets Puck, a teasing fairy. Today I used a love potion to get the fairy tale queen Titania fall in love with me. The target is a young man who in a magical way has been transformed to have a donkey's head. So Summer Night's Dream, I actually think that this legend seems really Shakespearean. So the actual Shakespeare play is called A Midsummer Night's Dream. But here it just says A Summer Night's Dream. And Puck is actually one of the fairies in this Shakespearean play. Very popular actually, and it takes place in Athens. So she has certainly been inspired here by Shakespeare to draw this page, we can see. So, but that's not the only thing that has inspired her. On page 3, it's called A Sea Fairy. I can't remember what they are called, but they actually have a specific name. I think it's, Selkies? I think it's Selkies. These women who can turn into seals live in the water. They're sort of, not mermaids, but some sort of sea, fairies like Eriy calls them. But anyway, Eriy writes, while I walked along the Scottish coast, I met a seal and a boy. What looks like a seal is actually a sea fairy named Rowan, who sometimes comes ashore and enjoy chatting with her boyfriend. And these Selkies, and they live in Scotland. I actually think that they are some sort of, these sea mermaids or sea fairies, and they take the form of women when they come ashore, they can, and then in the sea they are actually seals, or disguise themselves as seals so no one will catch them, and they always return to the sea. I think that my daughter has a book with a fairy tale or a story with such a creature here. So on the next page we find an Irish fairy called Lionancy. She sits by the fountain here, reading a poem collection left by her human lover. She's a fairy who gives a great talent to poets and musicians, but it's also said that men who love her and who accept her love, they will die young. So that actually sounds quite tragical. And here we have Curahorn, who loves alcohol. And he lives in a brewery in Ireland. And we live a happy life, drink alcohol, sing and dance every day. And here, it's from Japan. I met Yukiona in Japan in a village covered in snow. Her breath became pure white snowflakes, which danced like butterflies and shone like jewels. So these snowflakes depict the breath of this Yukiona fairy from Japan. I can imagine that this page should be colored with light, icy, sort of light blue colors and a lot of shiny glitter, stickles, a stickles page. Here we have Fairy Aunt Ellie. On Christmas Day, while she traveled through the city of Montpellier in France, Aunt Ellie, a fairy from the sky, came on a donkey. You can see it here. It seems like they give presents to good children. So this is a legend from Montpellier in France. And the opposite page here is still about this fairy. The gifts of Aunt Ellie. A homemade teddy bear, a paper doll, some Christmas ornaments here. I can't help but think about what kind of Christmas present Ellie would give me. And here, a ghost walk at night. I went on a ghost walk in York, an English town which has preserved the historical atmosphere. When you listen to stories about the town ghost and walk along the shopping street Shamble, surrounded by buildings from the 14th and 15th century, you'll experience a completely different atmosphere than during the day. And we can certainly see that with all of these ghosts here. And this page is a Halloween page, and it says cute ghosts. If you meet any cute ghosts, you can be sure to make friends. It would be fun to wear your favorite costume and participate in a Halloween party together. And you can see this ghost is really cute with this little bow on top of it. And this one has dots all over it. Okay. And page 11 here is also a Halloween page. The beginning of Halloween. I found some cute embroidery designs in Ireland, which shows the origin of Halloween. The lantern is made by the folk fairy Puka, and she has made it from turnips here. In Europe, these sort of Halloween lamps here, they were made by turnips, not pumpkins, because pumpkins is an American tradition. Barn black is sweet, which is used for the ancestors, and hidden inside of it are things like rings and coins, and they can predict the future. And then we also just have goats, and a witch, and a haunted house, and cats, and spiders, and children going trick-or-treating. Actually, I think that's a dog and then a child going trick-or-treating. And this must be the fairy who made these turnip lamps here, or lanterns. And here we go on to another field of legends. Here we begin the legends of witches, wizards, and alchemists. So here we have Manon here and Hershey. And we are in Germany here. And it's called Walpurgisnacht. I visited the German town of Gola on a special day called Walpurgisnacht. Or in English, Walpurgis night. The night of the witches' gathering. So it's a witch night. Wave to the witches while they fly by and then continue your nightly stroll. So a very beautiful night scene here from this German town on Walpurgisnacht. Magical practice, this one is called. To practice magic, it's crucial to become a good witch. Meaning that if you want to be a good witch, you really have to be good practicing magic. A magical girl here is developing an original spell which will enchant her favorite stuffed animals and make them move. So she's making this spell to make a teddy bear and this cat and this stuffed fox move and become, well, sort of alive. And here on this page we are in a school. Let's take a look at the Familiar School, which was open for cats who want to be the familiars of wizards. Apparently some of the pupils are more interested in the crystal balls than the lesson. And this one is actually sleeping. That's quite naughty when you are at school. Here we have a legend about this special bridge. A bridge built by the devil. Apparently this creature here is the devil. When I visited Tuscany in Italy, I found a huge stone bridge with a strange shape. Legend tells that the devil built the bridge within one night, with the promise of receiving the soul of the first person who crossed the bridge. So this means that the devil said, if I get the soul of the first person who crosses this bridge, I will build it in a night, and then you can have a bridge over this river, so you can cross it. And the rest of the people could then just cross it in peace and not be afraid, but the person who first crossed it, his or her soul would belong to the devil. Interesting legend. Here we have Swan Lake. And deep within the German forest, virgins have been transformed to swans here by the devil Rothbard's magic. They can only return to their human form for a short period at night. And this must be the background for that ballet, Swan Lake, by Tchaikovsky. where is she a princess of some sort, and she's transformed into a swan, and then only a kiss or love from a man can break the spell, but then the black swan comes and meddles with it to try to prevent her from becoming a human again. You can see the crown here on this princess swan here, and the devil hiding over here. And the alchemist. The alchemist Nicolas Flamel's house lies in France, in Paris. Just walking past his house, imagining what kind of research he did here, makes my heart flush or flutter. So Manon passes this house of the alchemist Nicolas Flamel. And here we have the Philosopher's Stone, not the Harry Potter one, but the Philosopher's Stone here in this book. The Philosopher's Stone is said to have the power to transform everything to gold and heal illnesses. So Nicolas Flamel produced it with success and calmly showed it to me. So Manon here is completely in this legend here. It has a mysterious power which gives you a tingling feeling just by looking at it. And the last legend of witches and wizards and alchemists, the house of Baba Yaga. The terrifying witch Baba Yaga lives deep in the forests of Russia. The house is built on the legs of a giant chicken. You can see the chicken legs here. And surrounded by a wall with many skeletons, which gives the impression of being completely unapproachable. Scary house, indeed. And now the book turns to the legends of flowers and plants. Tulip cradle, this one is called. In England, little fairies who don't have a cradle lay their babies in tulips at night. It feels so good to fall asleep and gently being swung by the wind. And this is a Japanese legend, and excuse my pronunciation here. Konohana Sakuyahime Sakura. And you are right if you heard the name Sakura, it's something to do with the cherry flowers. The cherry flower was a flower given to Kohuna Sakuyahime by her parents to celebrate her marriage with Ninigi, the sun god. Each spring, cherry flowers blooming, and they paint Japan pink. So this is a legend explaining why there are so many cherry blossoms in Japan, I think. We have Hershey here and some cats playing down here. This one, more pronunciation friendly. Lily of the Valley goblets. Once a year on a beautiful spring night, the fairies who work in the fields of France gather to decide their work roles for the coming year. When the meeting is over, the fun begins. They dance all night and drink sweet grass soup from Lily of the Valley goblets. But be careful, Lily of the Valley is poisonous for humans, but not for fairies. So this means that the fairies can use the Lily of the Valleys to drink their grass soup from. And this one is called The Key to the Castle is the Prim Rose. The key which opens the door to a castle guarded by fairies is found amongst thousands of primroses which blooms in the fields of a little German village. If you can find it, the fairies will guide you to the wonderful treasures in the castle. Yes, and over here we have Daisy Flower Fortune Tells. The daisy is the embodiment of Peridis, a dryad, that's a wooden or tree spirit, from Greek mythology. Also known as Yoshimi, the girls who meet in a little village in Europe, they used to tear the petals off one by one to predict the fate of love. So this is how this tradition with he loves me not, comes from. This legend about the daisy and Peridis, this dryad from ancient Greece. I didn't know that. And now we have a beautiful drawing of Manon and the flower fairies. Fairies love to fly around beautiful flowers, sweet pea flowers, dandelions, lavender, carnations, white clovers, forget-me-nots. They may even visit your local flowers. So look out for fairies the next time you walk in your garden. Bellflowers and the dragon. In a country far, far away, a girl risked her life as a dragon's assistant to protect a golden apple, which will make you immortal if you eat it. The girl was transformed into a bellflower by Flora, the flower goddess. I think these actually look like the golden apples of the Hesperids. One of the Titans, the Titan Atlas, who wears the sky on his shoulders. And he has some daughters, and they got this garden with this tree with the golden apples, and they can give you immortality. And then there's a dragon also, it's called something, I can't remember it. And it's also guarding this tree. And I think there is a hero story from ancient Greece about some of these Greek hero who's going to get an apple. I think that must be Hercules. And one of his tasks is to get a golden apple from this very tree. I think it's that legend myth that that's part of this picture actually. The one about the bellflower, I haven't heard that one. Well, interesting. This one is called the flower goddess Flora. She meets Flora. This is Manon meets Flora, the goddess of beautiful flowers. She sits on a swing made of flowers and happily plays with the birds. And we can see that Hershey is also lucky enough to play with this flower goddess Flora. Beautiful, beautiful drawing. Okay, so this page with the blackberries, it's called Blackberry Girl. This is a legend from Cornwall in England. To save a girl who was cursed by a witch and transformed into a blackberry, a prince who, of course, loved the girl, he was transformed to a red-feathered crow by the power of a court magician, and then he flew to the blackberries, he kissed the flower, he took the berry with him, and with the help of the court magician, the curse was broken and the girl was returned again. So she was not a berry anymore. And then the prince and the girl lived happily ever after. So this is a more Christmassy page, and that's because it's all about the mistletoe. You can see here it's called Under the Mistletoe. Cat lovers kiss under the mistletoe on Christmas night. Since ancient times, the mistletoe has been regarded to bring luck in European countries and has been used in ceremonies, especially during Christmas. The love between these two will last forever. And the last of these flower legends here, Eriy's message. So this is not an angel. Eriy is the ancient Greek goddess for the rainbow. As messengers for the top god Zeus and his wife Hera, the rainbow conveys messages to Earth. The message which Eriy carries when she descends down the rainbow bridge, which shimmers in 7 colors, is definitely a wonderful message of love. So Eriy, the rainbow goddess, she brings messages from the gods down to Earth to the humans. So again, not an angel, but an ancient Greek goddess with wings. Okay, so now we turn to another sort of legends, the legends of the stars and constellations. And this one is called 7 Diamonds, and we can see them here. A good-hearted Russian girl was looking for water for her sick mother. She couldn't find any water, and she asked for it. The wish came true, and this wooden spoon turned into gold, and then the water began to flow from it. There are 7 diamonds inside of this one. When they thanked God, the diamonds rose up to the sky and became the constellation Big Dipper. So that was a neat legend here about this star constellation Big Dipper. We can see we are still among the stars, horoscope, and the constellations. You can see a lot of the different constellations here. The people of ancient Mesopotamia, that's today's Iraq, who created the constellations, respected the sun, moon, and stars as gods. So for the ancient Mesopotamians, the sun and moon and stars were actual gods. Astrology began when they thought the countries' and kings' fate were tied to these celestial bodies. The constellations were introduced to Greece, and the ancient Greek then connected these constellations to the ancient Greek gods. And also their legends and the myths of the constellations spread. And then they came to the Romans, and then, well, we know them of today. Okay, so this double page sort of concludes the legends of the stars and constellations. And Eriy writes that it was on her way to China that Manon heard this legend of these two people, and they were only allowed to meet once a year. And then we have the Milky Way here. And when she looks at the beautiful Milky Way at night, I can see the happy faces of these two people who have met each other again for the first time in a while. So it's only once a year that these two lovers meet, actually. But what the legend is called, I don't know, because it doesn't say. So I don't know what the legend's title is, actually. Okay, so now we turn to legends of mysterious creatures or beings, and we start off right away with the unicorn here. And this one is called The Lady and the Unicorn. A goblin tapestry of the Lady and the Unicorn seen at the Museum of Medieval Arts in Paris, France. So this is from an actual tapestry that has been the inspiration for this drawing. If you meet a unicorn, would you be able to make friends with it? There are actually other stories that tell that unicorns are some really, really fierce creatures, so I don't know if you could be friends with them. But then we have a gargoyle here. We are still in Paris, by the way. Chess and gargoyles. When I lived in an apartment in Paris, a gargoyle from Notre Dame Cathedral came to me. Gargoyles are monsters, or monster-shaped stone statues, and they serve as drain pipes in Gothic architecture. But today, Manon and the gargoyle, they play chess while looking at the Eiffel Tower. So here we are at the bottom of the Irish Sea, and we have mermaids living here, or actually they are called merrows in Ireland. And this particular merrow here, she sits at a crab's barber shop. And the mermaids always visits this crab's barber shop because with two scissors he can cut their hair very fast. And on the opposite side we can see a mermaid's dressing room. We can see here a pearl necklace made of mermaid tears. We have a mirror with also a mermaid charm here. We have perfume, we have nail polish made of squid ink and scales from seahorses, and shiny lipstick and rings and all sorts of things that make you look like a very fashionable mermaid. But now we are in Belarus and with the werewolves. So a werewolf is a human that turns into a wolf at night, and some also say on a full moon's night. The howling echoes through these forests, and if you are a human and you hear a werewolf howling, then you must run away as quickly as you can, because if a human is bitten by a werewolf, they will turn into a werewolf themselves. Here we have a Pico de Gallo from Barcelos. In the Portuguese pilgrims town of Barcelos, a young man who was about to be executed for a crime he didn't commit, he was actually saved by a roasted rooster, like this one. "If I'm innocent, this roasted rooster will crow," the young man said. By the time of the execution, the rooster got up and crowed, and hence the young man saved his life and wasn't executed. So this depicts that legend. And here we are in the Czech Republic, in Holasvice. And here is vodnik. And vodnik is a stylish water fairy who wears a coat, and he looks very, very nice. But be careful, he might accidentally drown you. So with water fairies, you have to be careful. And here we have an elegant Pegasus. The antique Greek Pegasus is a beautiful feathered horse, and it can fly. Let's enjoy some fashion with Pegasus. Really, really nice with necklaces and stuff. Pegasus seems to like Manon's matching hairstyle. She has also got pearls in her hair, like he has in his mane. And here, a legend of the marriage of foxes. If you see a vague, mysterious light in the dark night in the mountains in Japan, it might be a marriage of foxes. Let's keep an eye on the new couple's departure so they are not surprised. Tengu lives. This is a little Karasu Tengu, and it sits on the top of a tall tree in a Japanese mountain village and guards the village. So this is some sort of guardian fairy here. At times they look like they can use the flexible bodies to fly freely through the sky. And perhaps they can. And now we leave the legends of all of these mystical beings and we turn to the legends of gods, of course. And we begin with the old Egyptian legends. And here we have a lot of holy objects. We have the Ankh sign, that's a sign or symbol for life. And then we have this Ujit's eye, and this is a protective symbol in ancient Egypt, meant to protect you from evil. And we also have a scarab, and this is a sign of resurrection. And also the jet pillar, which is a sign of the pharaoh. The goddess Isis here and her son Horus in the embodiment of a falcon. We have pyramids, and we have a camel, and we have the golden mask of Tutankhamun, and we also have lotus flowers. The old Egyptian motifs are all unique and very beautiful. And here, something from the legendary island of Atlantis, a mystical island said to have sunk to the bottom of the ocean overnight because of a big earthquake and flooding about 11,000 years ago. An island created in the Atlantic Ocean by the antique Greek god of the sea, Poseidon. It's said to have been the ideal nation for peace and prosperity. And I have also heard that they messed up, and that was why the gods or Poseidon made a big earthquake and a tsunami came and sunk the island. So perhaps they weren't as nice as they should have been. Here we have a double page with the 12 gods of Olympus. And it says, introducing the 12 gods of Olympus, Hera and Zeus, the king and the queen, of course, in the middle. And on the left we have Aphrodite, and we have Dionysus, we have Poseidon here, and we have Athena, the patron goddess of Athens, and we have Hephaestus, the smith. And on the right we have Artemis. She is the goddess of the wild hunt and the animals in the forest, and her twin brother Apollo, who was a god of archery and music and poetry, and also later a sun god. And we have Eriy, the war god, Demeter, she was god of fertility and also the harvest, and Hermes, the messenger of the gods. And Dionysus, of course, the god of wine and all good things and parties, and of course the love goddess of Aphrodite. So I think we have them all here, except for Hades. He's not represented here. And here some other gods, and we are in China. And in old China, a sacred god was said to protect the 4 directions of the heavens, Tian. East, the east is Seiryu, west is Boyaku, south is Suzaku, and north is Genbu. So today they are all with some of their good friends. There were actually 5 directions because the Chinese believed that the center, the middle of all things were also a direction. But here we have south and east and north and west. So, but exactly who is what, I'm not quite sure. But you can see here that this one is connected with a tortoise and a snake, and here we have looks like a tiger and a peacock and a dragon. I think that dragons were either east or west. I think you can look it up actually to find out exactly which of these ladies is which direction. So here on this page, we are at the border between Brazil and Argentina, the Iguazu Falls. And these falls here, they are the home of a legend of a beautiful rainbow. You can see the rainbow here. And it's said, according to the legend, that a beautiful girl was turned into a cliff. So it must be the cliffs surrounding these falls. And the boy that she loved, or the young man that she loved, he was turned into a palm tree. So the God of goodness had mercy upon them because they were separated, and he created this rainbow between them from the cliff to the palm tree so that their thoughts could reach each other and that they wouldn't be alone for all eternity. And here we are in Japan. This is a Japanese god, Sasiki Warashi. And this is a god who lives in houses. It's said that if a Sashiki Warashi lives in one's house, the family will become rich. So it's some sort of a family patron god. It looks like this particular god is also a good playmate for cats, Eriy writes. And more gods. Here we are in Hawaii with the hero god Maui. And you probably know him from the Disney movie. So Maui was a demigod. His father was a god and his mother a human. And he fished a piece of land out of the ocean with this magical hook that he has. And the land became the first island in Polynesia. He also stole fire and gave it to the humans. He lifted the sky, which was way too close to the earth. And he captured the sun with a rope to slow down its movement and to extend the days. So he actually did some good things to make the world as it is today, according to this legend. And the last of these god legends, Pele and Poliahu. There's a rivalry between the fire goddess of Pele, who lives on Hawaii's Kilauea volcano, and Poliahu, the goddess of snow, who lives on Mauna Kea. So they are depicted here, one with fire and the other with snow. And Pele uses lava as her weapon, and Poliahu uses snow as her weapon in their fight. So these two goddesses fight each other. We are at the end of the book, and these are the legends of man. So some of these legends here are with actual human beings who have lived, and others with more mythical beings or legendary humans here. But we begin with Queen Cleopatra, and we know that she has lived. She was the Cleopatra with Caesar and Mark Antony. And it says that Cleopatra, the old Egyptian queen, was clever, beautiful, and had excellent lingual skills. Even though she's usually busy, she's now enjoying a relaxing moment surrounded by the smell of her favorite roses. So that was Egypt. And here we are in ancient Alexandria, also Egypt. Here we have Hypatia. Hypatia was a female scientist who lived in Alexandria, Egypt, at the end of the Roman Empire and left her name in history. So this is also a historical woman here. There were many students back then who were very knowledgeable about philosophy, astronomy, and medicine. And it looks like you came to the library in Alexandria to look for materials that you can use in your next lecture. So this is the old ancient library of Alexandria that actually does not exist and it burned down, and all of the ancient scrolls from old times were lost in that fire. And that's why we actually lack a lot of sources, written sources, for the ancient times in the Mediterranean world, because all of these sources that existed in this library, they got lost in that fire. But here, 2 historical women. And on this page, we are in Jordan at the old caravan city of Petra. And Petra was mentioned in the first book, World Heritage, where we have a double page with a camel ride through the desert at night. It's this pink cliff city. It's carved into the cliffs. Actually, it's a real huge achievement that humans have been able to do this. And it has also been in several movies, like Indiana Jones, the 3rd movie. It takes place in Petra, and also in one of the Transformer movies. Can't remember. I think it was number 2, actually. It was in also, where they are in this one. And they hint that it was built by Transformers. It wasn't, actually. It was built by ancient people here in Jordan. El Hasne means treasury, and legend says that the pharaohs hid their treasure inside of this city. So let's ponder over the lives of humans in ancient times while we're being lit up by the magical lights of the candle night. And these candles represent this candle night here. So, according to legend, there's a treasure hidden within Petra, and it belonged to the pharaohs. Makes sense, because a lot of the land surrounding the Mediterranean, they actually belong to ancient Egypt at periods of time, actually. Also parts of Jordan. So here we are in England again, King Arthur's legendary hill. This is Glastonbury in England. It's a city known for actually a number of legends, including the legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So this little hill called Glastonbury Tor is said to be the entrance to the island of Avalon. And Avalon is where King Arthur met his end, and it's said that he is, well, buried there or sleeping, that when England is in peril, he will wake up and save all of England. And on the top of Glastonbury Tor, we have St. Michael's Tower here. And that was the legends of this book. And this is sort of a cover, a sum up illustration with bits of all of these legends. And it says, from the world of legends, this is a coloring book with illustrations of legends. Enjoy to use your favorite colors and coloring techniques. And we can see all of the places that Manon has been here. And then we are at the end, and it says, after the journey. After a long journey looking for legends, Manon returns to her home. The beautiful fairy queen Titania, the mermaid Merrow, unicorns, gargoyles. The world is full of more mystical and wonderful legends than I had ever imagined. Manon's little suitcase is full of mysterious legends and memories that she found on her journey. I hope we'll meet again someday. And here we have some postcards, and we have of Baba Yaga, who goes for a walk in the forest. Here we have the flower goddess of Flora, who is wearing a beautiful flower dress. We have a fairy who enjoys tea time with these lily of the valley goblets. And here we have the Pegasus. And here we have that water fairy, vodnik. And here we are at the familiar school, where you must not sleep, but you must pay attention to the classes. And this from Swan Lake. So this swan is supposed to be white, and this swan is supposed to be black, like the black swan. So it's reflection black and the swan white. And here we have the Halloween with the ghosts. And that was it. That was the World Legends book. That was the third book in this coloring book series. It was actually a bit more difficult to translate this book because a lot of these legends I haven't heard of, and it's a bit difficult to translate things when you can't relate as much to them as you could with the World Heritage Places and also the fairy tale book. It was a bit easier to translate those books. But I will continue, and shortly you will see a video with the fourth coloring book, the one about the world literature. So I hope that you will like this video and subscribe to my channel. It's my huge goal that you really get something out of these videos, so that when you, if you have bought this coloring book, when you open it and choose a page to color, you know exactly what legend it's all about, and it perhaps could inspire you as to how you want to color the pages in this book. So until I see you in the next video, have a very nice day. Take care of yourself. Happy coloring. Bye.